One of the area's top mental health facilities is under the microscope after the suicides of two clients. ABC7's Taylor Tarragano joins us with more. Taylor.
Alan, Theodore Dougal's sister Shelley says he went to Centerstone in Bradenton voluntarily after calling the police to have him checked in on a Saturday last November. He first attempted suicide on Sunday. He tried again Monday, then again not long after. On that third attempt, he was successful.
It's been almost 10 months since Theodore "Teddy" Dougal took his own life.
It was the hardest thing I've ever, just the way it all happened, and it haunts me still today. It may be a year, but to me it feels like yesterday.
Shelley Boyette says losing her brother has been the hardest thing she's ever had to go through.
Holding his hand, just crying so hard, it was awful. I wouldn't wish this on nobody.
But it's not just the void Boyette feels without Teddy that haunts her. It's the questions she still has no answers to.
How could this happen? How could this happen when there's video cameras of them? He was on a suicidal Baker Act. How did this happen?
Boyette says she's been asking the same question since last November, with no definitive timeline of how long Teddy hung from the sheet in his bedroom before someone noticed he needed help.
Why couldn't anybody give me a time frame? The nurses told me probably because it was a long time.
A detective assigned to the case told her there is video surveillance of Teddy, but to this day, Boyette says Centerstone has never allowed her to see it. She says she's also never been given any explanation as to why or if Teddy was checked on between 3 attempts to kill himself.
I said, he cut his wrist the night before. I says, and nobody was watching him.
This is the first type of case we've ever seen like this. Very unusual situation. And what makes it more unusual than other cases is this video of Mr. Dougal's death. Who was watching this video? Who was watching Mr. Dougal? No one. But there's a video showing his attempted his death first by hanging himself, failing, and then doing it again. So this type of evidence is just nothing that ever comes along in a case like this.
Kennedy Legler says that's why his firm doesn't have its hands on this video. But when they file the lawsuit, he says Centerstone will have no choice but to release it. It's the invaluable evidence giving Legler 100% confidence in winning this case.
100%. Extremely confident. I don't think there's a case like this around with this type of evidence. So we feel very, very confident that we will succeed.
We went to Centerstone to see what they had to say about these allegations. They declined to speak on camera, but did send this statement saying, quote, "We express our deepest sympathy to the family and loved ones. We are devastated. Centerstone serves some of the most vulnerable individuals in our communities, and we are singularly dedicated to providing the highest quality, compassionate care to people living with mental illness and substance use disorders. Because this matter is currently in litigation, our attorneys have advised us not to comment further at this time." Dr. Eddie Renier is a clinical psychologist in Sarasota who diagnoses and treats mental disorders. He says this is a much bigger, more widespread issue.
What's going on in these hospitals? Many of them are underfunded. Because they're underfunded, they're not adequately staffed. Many of them don't have real professionals working directly with the patients, or they have an inadequate number of staff working with the patients. So when you have those kind of terrible needs, you open yourself up to having troubles where people can kill themselves and you not know about it for hours later.
This is why Dr. Renier wasn't surprised to hear Teddy's story.
You know what the surprise is? It's not happening more frequently. Because our hospital's in such disarray from neglect, years and years of neglect, that I frequently have to make a decision. Is it better to treat that person in a hospital, or is it better to keep them home and bring the resources to them there?
His solution, more funding.
We have the technology, we have the skills, we have the knowledge to really make a difference in mental health. And but if we don't have the money to put those things into play, then of course you have people committing suicide.
And Alan, it's happened again. Another man named Dwayne Riddick committed suicide at Centerstone in April. We spoke to the attorneys of his family as well. They're suing Centerstone for wrongful death after the 49-year-old took his own life in the facility's care. Mindy Miller represents Riddick's family. She says first and foremost, this lawsuit is to evoke change. Since the lawsuit was filed, Miller says several more families have come forward with their own stories of tragedy at Centerstone. Through the attorney's investigation, they say they are certain that Centerstone staff did not follow their own protocols.
We have the investigation that confirms that though my client was supposed to be observed every 15 minutes, he was not watched by any staff member for over 9 hours. We know that he received medication at 9:36 p.m. and then he was not looked at by anyone until the next day at 7:30 in the morning when he was found dead.
Miller says Centerstone also failed to make a safe room for Riddick. Staff left the sheets on the bed, movable furniture, and other items that he used to commit suicide. In this case, there is also a video that shows no staff person looked in on Riddick for more than 9 hours.
Taylor, thank you.